Hey everybody, what's up? Don Carr here with another round of What's on Your Pedalboard, and today I'm so fortunate to be with Mr. Tony Levin.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And he's on the beat tour right now, and we're checking out your rig, which is amazing. It sounds fantastic.
Thank you. It's pretty simple. I've had much more complicated rigs, but it's working for this tour.
So what's kind of at the heart of the pedal part of it?
The quad Cortex. You're probably familiar with it, and I have all my sounds programmed into it. It took a long time to program them in. A lot of advantages for me. One is that I go back and forth between different tours, and I could just go to a different section of it and have the Stickman tour up and ready, or the Peter Gabriel tour.
And you know, the other thing that's interesting too is, I mean, you're obviously making a lot of different sounds, especially on this one. I'm assuming on probably everything you do, but especially on this tour, I've noticed that you're making a lot of different sounds, and you're managing to do it all with different instruments, but all through the quad Cortex.
That's what it's made for. It's funny because I think of this tour as pretty simple sound effects wise. When I tour with Stickman, only 3 guys in the band, and I'm playing elaborate, complex sounds on the top of the stick. Stick, by the way, has a guitar side and a bass side. It's a stereo instrument. So compared to that, this is simple for me. What's great is that I can slowly, especially during rehearsal period, tweak each of the, just slightly change sound for each piece, which is nice, even if it's basically the same compressor and the same amp.
Right. Yeah, I saw that you were just conversing with front of house. He was like, "Hey, a little top end here on this, and a little, which is great."
Yeah, and I really took him by surprise with that one because we're 40 shows into the tour, and I'm suddenly changing sounds on him. We haven't done that since rehearsals before we started.
Yeah, good for you, man.
Yeah, I just kind of felt like a change in that sound.
Let's please talk about your incredible music.
The easy call of what bass I should bring on this tour.
Yeah.
This is called the Beat Tour, and that's the 3 of our perfect pair bass that I played on in the 80s with King Crimson on that album, which we're playing a lot of on this tour. So that seemed the obvious choice. Still kicking. It still sounds very good. It's been through a lot since the 80s, but it's a good bass, and it's just coincidence that I had it painted the color of the album back in the 80s, so it's the appropriate one. It's a 4-string, and on a couple pieces I choose to go modern and 5-string, and I have my other Music Man, a much more modern one. It's fairly new, a couple of years old, and this is the Stingray Special, which has a huge advantage of it's very lightweight. It sounds great, it has all the low end, but when it comes to rehearsing, not playing the show, I can carry the heaviest bass they make, anybody makes. But the 6-hour rehearsal, boy, it's really nice having the lightweight bass. I really appreciate it.
So you don't have to sit down at that point.
Exactly, it's amazingly light, and it doesn't lose anything. It's got a great sound, actually even a little hipper sound than the one I had before that. So I'm very happy. And I play this on a few songs in the show, and that one on quite a few songs. So, and then there's the Chapman Stick.
Of course, the Chapman Stick.
Yeah, here I'll pick it up.
Please do.
Which goes in here, the belt, and I wear this all the time to hook in, and it's got bass strings, guitar strings. I think a lot of your viewers probably are familiar with what it is.
Right.
It's not quite as popular as a guitar, but there are quite a few of us stick players out there.
Yeah, and the inside-out tuning too. The bass in the center.
Very odd. You're low C, and it goes up in fifths, and it goes up in fourths on the guitar side. And I'm playing it a lot in this show because I played it a lot in the 80s on the King Crimson tours and albums, because when I met those guys, the King Crimson guys, Bill Bruford and Adrian Ballou, first met him, and Robert Fripp in 81, and I had a bass. I heard the way they make music, and I quickly thought, I'm going to just play the Chapman Stick. It's the appropriate step outside the normal bass part instrument for that band. So consequently on those albums, when I reviewed them and listened to them last summer, I realized I played the stick on more than half of the pieces.
Oh my gosh, half of it. Wow, that's amazing. Well, it makes total sense because you have the extra independence, and you can add the extra voice, especially on the
Which I did.
on the high side.
Yeah, the guitars were intermeshing guitars, and I was like, well, I can join them, and I can be with Bill Bruford with my left hand.
Yeah, right.
On a good day. It wasn't pretty trying to relearn some of those pieces when they're in different time signatures.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you got 2 hands going to different time signatures. Yeah, that's
good challenge.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Well, and the low end sound of the stick too is very very specific.
Very
You know,
distinctive.
It really is very distinctive. I mean, in a recording, like when you would use it, you know, on that material, like it really stuck out. You can always tell.
Yes, I agree. It's very distinctive. It's very percussive. Of course, it's a hammer-on instrument, so
Right.
it speaks really clean and clear way down low. So I can play parts like, for instance, taka, 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 very low that I would never play on the bass. I could play the notes maybe on the bass, but you wouldn't hear it. It would just sound like a roar. But other things it doesn't do as well as a bass, in my opinion.
Sure,
So it's nice to have, what do you call it, the tools of the trade, to have a few to choose from among.
Exactly, man. You've got the variety and a synth as well.
Yeah, there I was playing it in the 80s.
Yeah.
Sometimes both basses were back and forth notes. I only have bass sounds on this. I have 40 bass sounds, and that's all on it. Back and forth notes, or just double big notes, and sometimes I could just. It's got a huge low end, of course,
Right,
so I can
right.
just use it for the last few notes of the piece.
Oh, sure,
a very
sustain
good
something
tool
or-
to have.
yeah,
Yeah, and this is a very early Nord lead.
Again, man, I've seen the show and it just sounds freaking fantastic.
Thank you, thanks.
It really does.
Oh, I should mention the JDI
Oh,
direct
yeah.
box. That's
Yeah.
It's so much always there for me that I don't mention it. And also I'll mention that the Ampeg amp, you can't tell because we have the elephant logo in
right,
front of it, but I'm
right.
playing through an Ampeg bass amp.
Yeah.
And the JDI, since it came out, I've been using it, and I have more fancy ones, but I always come back to this one, and not only on the road, but home recording is what I
Man,
use.
I completely agree,
Yeah.
man. The JDI is one of the best
Yeah.
direct boxes out
Yeah.
there, period, man. I use it all the time, definitely. Tony, thanks so much. I really appreciate you doing this.
Very kind of you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Guitar.